On Power Talk, we are speaking to the CEO of what is considered the largest Sacco by assets in Africa and the 7th in the world. They have an asset base of over 64 billion shillings. They are 49 this year and are on the verge of turning 50 next year. And we are so pleased on this edition of Power Talk to be joined by the CEO of the Mwalimu Sacco, Kenneth Odhiambo. Thank you very much for joining us on Power Talk. Let's get straight into it. So 49 years of being in operation, almost turning 50. What do you see has been the evolution of the Sacco sector and the role that it has played in deepening financial inclusion?
Right. I think the Sacco sector has evolved over time. And looking at where all these issues started way back in the early 70s, thereabouts, some of them as old as 1960s, we used to have entities that were managed in a way. Actually, the government has a lot of rather heavy hand on them in terms of the operations, how they do their business, how they conduct their affairs. But over time, the Saccos have evolved, to be fully fledged financial institutions that are now actually, offering financial access in terms of credit, in terms of savings, in terms of even digitally enabled products. Mm-hmm. So at the moment, some of these Saccos can do any other thing that any other banking institution do, with only the aspect of the payments and settlement system that is still pending for them. So they are there. They have come of age. Yeah. They have evolved. And they are doing things that probably, some of us wouldn't imagine they would do. Yeah,
and we'll talk about, moving into the digital era in a minute. Right. But in all of that time, in terms of, helping people and their businesses and to achieve their ambitions, what do you think have been some of the challenges, and how has the sector, overcome some of these challenges to be what it is today?
If you look at the concept of the Sacco model, is savings and credit. Savings and credit here means that you start with the savings aspect of it before you move to the credit aspect of it. And that has served the Sacco sector very well, over time. And members have been coming, they've been able to mobilize savings so that they can provide funds for lending. But moving forward, actually, we see a lot of transformation in terms of how, people think about Saccos, more so the youth side of it. And of course, that is one of the sustainability issues that we must deal with in the long term. Not many of the youth segments are very keen on Saccos. Actually, on the savings, let me put it clearly, on the saving aspect. And again, that is one of the things that Saccos need to think about in terms of their sustainability. And that, even as in retrospect to as Mwalimu National, is one of the sustainability issues that we are really looking at. What if some of us exit? How will the Sacco be able to still stand and probably serve the financial needs of its members? Yeah. The current generation actually have different needs, and they look at a number of things, not really what we do now, or rather what we believe, but what actually will benefit them in terms of what they want. The issues of convenience, the issues of having an avenue of how they can be able to access finance quickly, and of course, not really akin to the brick and mortar model. Yeah. So even for Saccos who are really expanding their branch network, probably in 20 to 30 years' time, they may need to rethink that, because people want to have access for financial services at the comfort of where they sit. So that's the future of the Saccos. Yeah, and you talk about an interesting thing, and we'll get into it, the needs of the younger population and how Saccos can meet that need for the sustainability of the same. But listen, from 1974, Mwalimu Sacco started with 9 members. Absolutely. To over 117,000 today. Take us through that journey of the vision, the structure. How have you made it this far? All right. I think it has been a journey of belief, a journey of confidence in terms of how the previous management or the board alike infused into their membership. And one of the things, or rather the pillars that Mwalimu Sacco had been built on is service to members. And over time, that has been the mantra that, pushes on. That has been the belief that everyone that works for Mwalimu Sacco believes in. And of course, all the board members and our members alike, which of course are greatest or rather key clients, that of course patronize our services and products. So from 9 members, actually, it started from a TSC secretariat employees, and it has mutated over time to a teachers-based Sacco, whereby we went to start with the primary, then we moved to post-primary. Some of our members are in universities, some of the private sector, private schools. And of course, right now, as we speak, 117,000 was as December last year. Right now, as I speak, as of May, we are at 123,519. So we have added another 5,900. So we keep growing. And of course, that is one of the things that give us a lot of hope. And the issue here is when you're in the financial services sector, when you sell money, you sell confidence. People have to believe in you that whatever they give you, you'll be able to return that same shilling back to them.
What would you say has been the governance structures that has enabled it to be here 49 years later and now looking towards 50? What would you think it's about, the structure of the organization, the vision, and how it's run that has kept it going this long?
All right. I would say that in terms of the governance structure, it has been premised on inclusiveness. Inclusiveness in the sense that the teachers alike and all other stakeholders that probably are clients have been given that opportunity to be at the leadership positions of the Sacco. We have over almost 40 branches spread countrywide because our members come all over the country. And of course, each and every, those 40 branches, there is a representation in terms of decision making. So I had mentioned something about inclusivity, and that is basically what has driven this Sacco in terms of prosperity. And of course, as we move into the future, what we are looking at is inclusivity in terms of the gender, more so the youth. How do we infuse the youth aspect into our leadership so that they can carry on the mantle? Because I keep on mentioning to my work colleagues, and of course they're watching, that some of us, we don't have a lot of time here. But we want to leave an institution that will be standing 20, 30 years down the line, even if we retired and left the institution. That will be our desire.
So you've talked about, the move from brick and mortar to digital platforms, to getting more youth on board, to, enabling it to be sustainable. Where is Mwalimu National Sacco in this transition so far? Yeah. So from over the 40 branches, you're doing it to providing the financial services that you do at a point of convenience for your consumers.
I would mention that actually, as we speak, Yvonne, we have 18 branches, physical branches that serve our members in various regions in this country. And those branches, of course, are brick and mortar, as you mentioned. But one of the things that we have also learned to do well is really look at our operations in terms of convenience and access. And convenience here, I mean that our members as far as Lamu, which of course has no branch because the nearest branch to them is Mombasa, can be digitally enabled to access our financial services, be it money in the accounts, be it credit facilities, be it any other services that probably would require them to, get that comfort that whatever money they're putting in, is giving them value in terms of the expectation. So the journey here is that as we go through all these spaces, one of the things that we're looking forward to in the future is that as much as we're having the brick and mortar, what is it that you can do in the digital space? And the key focus here is having a very clear digital strategy. There are two things here. There is IT strategy and the digital strategy. Mm-hmm. So these things are totally different. And many a times I find institutions trying to embed them together with the bigger corporate strategy, which of course does not work very well. The IT strategy, of course, is supposed to transcend the corporate strategy, but of course the digital strategy is more broader in terms of looking at the institution platforms and service, avenues of how we can be able to assist our members in terms of convenience and access. And that is basically we are looking at. And I did mention that the current generation in terms of youth are looking forward to convenience and access, nothing else. Actually, many a times why we are still maintaining those branches of ours is that some of our very old members still believe that they have to visit the physical branches. Yeah. But the youth are telling we don't care. We want to access in our staff rooms, we want to access those loans, we want to access those services. Yeah.
So you've already started this digital transition?
Absolutely, we are on. And in fact, we even won an award in this year's Shirika Day in terms of the digitization. So it's a journey, and of course, it's something that we're looking forward to.
All right, let's talk about, moving beyond your core financial services and in the digital era, like you have talked about. What are you looking at in terms of the future of the Sacco business, and what role do you believe Mwalimu Sacco will play?
In terms of the future, I will still mention the issue of sustainability. Actually, is one of the things that when I come in the morning, I would really look at how will we be able to make this institution more sustainable. Sustainable in the times that the kind of products that we offer become, more relevant to our clients, our membership. The kind of practices and our governance structure is more supportive of our corporate strategy. We have the right culture in terms of how to transit the institution in the future. And of course, the bottom line here is that we're looking at the sustainability agenda in terms of the ESG, model. So how will the Sacco play more role in terms of the community support and be able to resonate very well with the people that we want to be part of us?
All right, great. Thank you, Kenneth Odhiambo, who's the CEO of Mwalimu Sacco, on Power Talk with us today. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And we will talk a little bit more with